In this video, I'm going to show you how I make a fortune using other people's properties and running them on Airbnb. Now, I discovered this thing called the Airbnb formula many years ago, and it absolutely changed my life. The cash flow that it's injected into my business, the amount of assets I've been able to buy from, running this Airbnb gig. It's been incredible for me, and I want to show you how I've done it today. So the journey really got started when I discovered rent-to-rent by accident, rental arbitrage as it's known in many other countries around the world. But in essence, the formula is that we'll take a property off a landlord, we'll pay them a market value rent. Sometimes we get them a bit lower depending on the negotiation skills, but for now it doesn't really matter. We're going to rent a property off a landlord, and then we then host it as an Airbnb host on Airbnb and other booking platforms as well, and we attract guests of all sorts into our properties. We turn them into accommodation that they can stay for a couple of nights a week, or sometimes they stay for several months, but we're charging them per night. By doing this, this allows us to get some great cash flow. It allows us to pay all the bills, cover the rent to the landlord, and make a healthy profit in between. And it's a great strategy that I've used. Now, why does it work? And why is it more important to do it at the beginning than go and buying one property? So if you've got a bit of cash and you're thinking about acquiring a property, I would advise getting into several rent-to-rent properties, because your cash flow is going to build a lot quicker, and ultimately it means that you can scale your investment portfolio quicker. Now, that might sound daft because I'm actually telling you not to invest in property and actually go and rent property, but if you think about the numbers, okay? Let's say, for example, you had £50,000, and from that £50,000 you could buy one property. By the time you've paid your deposit, your stamp duty, your legals and all that stuff. £50,000 buys you one property, and even if you run that property on Airbnb, you're going to earn, let's say for argument's sake, £500 a month. You probably earn £1,000 a month if you own your own property, because the margins are a bit bigger, and let's just say that's £12,000 a year. Okay, now that £50,000, assuming you can spend up to £5,000 to set a property up, and that's quite extreme. Most setups are around a couple of grand mark, but let's use £5,000 as an example. So £5,000 to set a property up, you've got 50 grand cash available, so you're going to get 10 properties set up in the same time frame. You're also going to be able to move a lot quicker. Now, conveyancing takes anywhere from 3 weeks to 3 months, depending on your experience, depending on your credibility with lenders and all that sort of good stuff. So then you've got your refurb typically to do on the property before you can do anything. So let's say it takes 4 or 5 months just to acquire a single property that you're going to buy. Now, on the rent-to-rent formula, you could go and acquire those 10 properties that your cash is going to allow you to acquire tomorrow. Next week you can have those 10 properties set up and they can be cash flowing. Now, let's say the cash flow on them is a bit less than obviously an owned unit, so let's talk £500, so we're half in the cash flow. Then you're still going to be making £5,000 a month net cash flow versus your one owned property that was going to make £1,000. So you're £4,000 a month, £48,000 a year better off by using that pot of money on a rent-to-rent strategy. And that's the power of rent-to-rent, and that's why it's been a game changer for me. It's a game changer for so many other people that I know doing this model successfully, not only in the UK, by the way. This is going on around the world. People are doing exactly the same. They're leasing properties off landlords, they're turning them into Airbnb units, and they've put a great operation behind the scenes to allow them to scale, and they're taking on more and more units. Now, if you're not involved in this, the easiest way to do it is just get started. I didn't have a clue what I was doing when I got started, and there's plenty of great channels, including mine, where there's so much information to help you get started, but for me it was all about solving a problem. So solve your own problem, which is more than likely a cash flow problem, and that's why you're watching this video. You're interested in getting into this Airbnb gig and you want to generate more cash into your life. So the easiest thing to do is go and solve the problem for the landlord. They'll be typically experiencing voids, or they've had hassle with tenants over the years and they're just a bit long in the tooth and want a different option. You come along and you present this offer where you're going to make sure there's no voids ever, and you're going to be there for the long term as well, so there's no transitioning. The property's going to get cleaned twice a week as a minimum. You're going to be doing all the minor maintenance. You're going to more than likely refurbish it. You're going to put some nice furniture in it, and at the end of the project, the end of the relationship with that landlord, when it does come to an end, let me tell you, most landlords don't want it to come to an end because it's such a good gig for them. They make more money over the period. Then they're going to get a property back that's typically in better condition than you took it on in. So there's so many benefits to a landlord, and that's how easy it is to start having these conversations with them and start acquiring property next week. And then in terms of the operations, don't worry about it. Honestly, like myself, you'll figure it out as it happens. You don't need to understand right now, if you're not already in the game, how to manage cleaners, how to sort your booking channels out, how to drive bookings. Just find the properties right now. And then once you've found the properties, you can start to, formulate a plan. There's plenty of videos on my YouTube channel which shows you how to, run channel managers, run pricing softwares, arrange your cleaners, scale your business. But for the purpose of this video, we're just all about acquiring those initial properties, using that initial pot of funds to maximize the cash flow. And ultimately, when you start getting that enhanced cash flow in your life, we're talking in this example an extra £4,000 a month, or an extra £5,000 a month, into your life. That changes a lot of things for a lot of people. It allows you to scale, allows you to more than likely come out of your job and do this full time, and then 5,000 becomes 15,000, 15,000 becomes 50,000, and it really can scale quite quickly. Now remember, I knew nothing about Airbnb several years ago. I've now got a business that I'm projecting to do over $1 million in revenue from Airbnb this year. So you don't need a wealth of experience in this game, you've just got to get started. And the first port of call is reaching out to landlords, finding out if they'll be willing to let you use their properties, building the value in your service, and getting going. If you want more information about how you can get started, head over to my Instagram page. On there is a link to my flow page. In there you will find loads of service accommodation webinars, my Airbnb formula ebook, and many other great tools to help you get started on your property journey. I hope you have an awesome day, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you get a notification every time we list more videos like this.